I hope this finds you well. It is just before 8 o'clock, so this energy might be different, and that's hopefully okay. But anyway, I hope you're doing good this morning, or today, this evening, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you have something to keep you company, whether that's a beverage, some snacks, a kitten. Audrey, who is the in-house kitten, has just taken Situ beneath the tripod, so fingers crossed she doesn't get too excited by that. Yeah, it's been a while since I've sat down and just recorded a kind of a knitting podcast, a knitting episode, and I felt like it was time. I haven't been knitting quite so consistently lately, and I think it's just because it's been quite busy, and I don't know, that's okay, I guess. And I hadn't previously had not loads of inspiration. There's lots of things that I'd like to knit. It's just finding the right time, you know? So here we are, finding the right time. And today I do have a cup of tea because it's very early. This is my second cup and it's already a little bit chilly from just setting up and getting ready, but it means that I can drink it right away, which is good. This is a normal breakfast tea. I say normal, it's a loose leaf breakfast tea. We don't tend to have tea bags in the house. We do if we very kindly receive them, or on the occasion where we want something specific, herbal, we'll tend to buy a blend rather than all the separate herbs, which is something I would like to do more after my little potions exploration that I did recently. So yeah, it's a very nice breakfast tea. Alex blended it himself. Alex, who, if you don't know, is my husband. He's a very good egg, and he blends tea for a living. So we drink fairly nice tea around here. Oh no. Yeah, I'll start with what I'm wearing. I've kind of forgotten the protocols. I am wearing one of my favourite new items. This is, I'll show you, it's got a little boop boop. And we'll put that on silent. We're professional, we're doing better. Yeah, so it's a peplum top. It is a pattern that I came up with. It is a modified version of my Drop Dead Freddy jumper, which is a very striped mohair item, and I just modified it according to what I wanted. My how-to notes are on my Ravelry. They are not by any means, if you do this stitch count and this stitch count, you'll get this. It's very much, I increased here, I did this here, I decreased here, because I think that if we're going to modify and make things ourselves, it's good to give the guide, and on different videos I might do the exact maths, but I feel like when it's a pattern that, even if it's not my own pattern, I wouldn't give, oh, I increased from this number to this number. It would be, I increased by about this %, or I increased really quickly, implying that maybe it's increased every stitch or every other stitch, you know? Like, I feel like it's a bit, there's a weird wobbly ground there that needs to be discussed further in the future, maybe. Anyway, yes, so this is just a very modified version. I increased for the sleeves and did a very quick decrease for the ribbing. And I used 2 different needles for the ribbing, which is the first time I've done it, and I really like how it's worked. It's a little bit looser, allowing the transition to be just a little bit more casual. I wouldn't recommend doing what I did and bind off for where the peplum is necessarily, especially if the difference between your chest area and your waist is quite big, and the same with your shoulders. If that difference is big, then getting it over. So I would just maybe even leave it, do some decreases, leave it, and then insert either some elastic if you like that, or I would probably, because this is such a loose gauge, just do a little I-cord and do a little tie job. And then underneath I'm wearing, it's not that interesting today. Come here. you want to come say hello? No, you just want to stare into my soul. Okay, cool. Jessie May, My Secret Little Crop, which I knitted in 2 of my hand-dyed yarns. You can't really see it very well underneath, and this one is knitted using Handmaiden fine yarns, I believe, in not bullfinch, I keep calling it bullfinch, but it's different, it's bulrush on the mohair base, which was a lovely gift from our lovely DM and partner, and I love it. So that was strange energy. Welcome. So I have a couple of finished items. Both have been finished for quite a while actually. One I didn't want to show in case the club hadn't arrived, and the other I just haven't recorded since. And this does look a bit ridiculous when it's not on, but I will hang it up for you. This fine piece of art is the Pure Mesh Pullover by James N. Watts. It is such a fun pattern. I've knitted this quite a few times now. If you've been here for a while, you might have heard me talk about 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of these. I even knitted one for a friend for her birthday, and I really just wanted to explore some more summery fibres, and I felt like I really wanted to do this in something that was going to be really strong, because I am hard wearing, and I previously knitted this using, I always forget, it's a black yarn. It was either Woolly Knits British Wool on the cone or Holst Super Soft. I can't remember which one I used. And it is very woolly. It's really good actually at this time of year as just a layering item that traps a little bit of extra heat, and then when you're maybe indoors in the warm at someone else's house, because this house is not warm right now, then you take it off and you've got a lot more airflow, and it's very handy for me as my body temporaries want to do whatever it wants. So I wanted to explore something that was going to be a little bit stronger and hopefully more long lasting, but also something that I could wear in the summer and continue to wear as layering. And I'm not going to be afraid to wear a couple of these at a time. So I have, in everything but the first one I knit, I have modified the sleeves to be shorter. I have put the notes of that, I believe, in my red version that's on my Ravelry. Just what rows I repeated without any information on what the rows are, so that if you want to shorten it as I have, because I'm quite short, but I do think that the sleeves are quite long, then those instructions are on there, or modifications, not instructions. Otherwise, I did knit it to pattern, aside from omitting the ribbing on the collar. I like it like this. I feel like I have a black version that comes up and shows a higher neck, or reads a higher neck when I'm wearing t-shirts. I kind of wanted one that could be almost hidden, and does that make sense? Like you clearly got something underneath, but it's not showing itself above a t-shirt. So I have left that. I didn't do anything fancy in that regard, but I used Lithuanian Linen by Tribe Yarns in the black colour. I would say that it released a lot of dye both on my hands as I was knitting it and in the sink, but the black has held, so I'm not upset by that. It did look like I'd been mining for coal for a few days when I was knitting on it, but it doesn't seem to be bleeding anymore, and that was just after one wash. It has been through the wash a couple of times now because I have worn it quite a bit, kind of as expected, and yeah, it fits really nicely. I've knitted a mix of sizes, but I think this time I knit the smallest size because I found with a slightly slicker, not woolly wool, I do knit a slightly looser gauge with this pattern, so I went to the smallest size and I shortened these sleeves, and that's all I did differently. But again, I love this pattern. I don't think this will be the last one I knit, but this was definitely this and one of my other whips are things that are the yarns that I treated myself to at Christmas with some Christmas money. Audrey, you can get outside. You do not need to shout. I remember. Here you go. And what I have to say about this is that it is a really, really, really good price point. It is heavy lace light fingering, and you get 450 meters or 100 grams for £9.50, which I have quite a bit left of this from the first skein, I think. Oh, where did it go? The kitten's really stumbling block. Yeah, so I can definitely get at least another one of these and maybe another item out of this. So 3 tops of hand knit. That I do think this is going to last, we'll see. But for £18, which seems really, 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 really reasonable to me. And yeah, so far I enjoyed knitting with it. I didn't find it too harsh on my fingers. I know some people probably will. I also am not finding myself doing extended periods of knitting at the moment. I'm just not. Even when I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons, I have done a little bit of knitting, but it's not been quite as much as previously. And I just think that's quite nice. It's just something that I'm really enjoying and not feeling like I have to. I never had to, but you know, I don't have to get X amount done. It's just happening when it happens, and it's potentially more enjoyable for it. So yeah, really happy with this. I will put it on and insert a little bit of footage of me wearing it. I'll remember to do that, so you can see it and how it fits. The second item is a sock. I did one, and it took a lot to actually kind of slow down on this one. This one I did consciously have to put down. I did a lot of it during D&D at the start of the year, and then kind of tried to slow down. And this is a variation on the It's Thursday Night socks by Lindsay Shank Krishna? No, got it wrong. Lindsay Shank Kirchner, who goes by Sock Witchery on Instagram. Lindsay very kindly sent me this pattern. I got very excited when she said that she was going to be releasing them, and it was actually designed in a club colorway by Hannah, who is the dyer from Chromatic Yarns based in England, and I think it was on the Shine Bright Circus Man colorway, which pulls at my heartstrings if you have seen campaign 2 of Critical Role in 99, and it felt very fitting to be able to support Hannah. I've really enjoyed seeing Hannah's colorways and the way she dyes and has evolved as a dyer. I don't think she's like, it's just interesting to see the differences in the skeins, and this is gorgeous. Hannah does a yarn club inspired by Critical Role once a month, called Knitical Role Yarn Club, and this was the Betrayal colorway. And I purchased it on Yak Sock. I am still trying to stay away from nylon. I don't love it. However, I have to say, the small bit of nylon in this is not bothering me. I think the fact that there's yak in here really helps. I will read off it is this one, that ball band. It's 70% superwash merino, 20% yak and 10% nylon, and 100 grams for 400 meters of yarn. And I really want to continue to support Hannah. I want to see where she takes her yarn dyeing explorations. So I did, and I don't often like surprises, but for some reason I don't feel nervous about buying from Hannah as a surprise. It's always fun and playful, and yeah, and also the DM collection looks wicked. So yeah, anyway, Lindsay designed these socks to be cuffed down. I did them toe up, so the pattern might look slightly different. Otherwise I cast on the slightly different amount, so I tend to cast on 68 stitches. That's just the perfect fit for Alex and I to be able to share them both very comfortably. I think I'm using 2mm, just double check. Oh no, 2.25 on these ones. Kind of checks out. Nylon. And yeah, otherwise I did my normal wedge toe and my normal short row heel. I think I'll do some more exploring of heel flap and gusset, maybe Fleagle again this year, if I'm allowed to, because little Audrey is taking up all the affection and time, which is rightfully so. Come on, what is your penance? You're gonna come and sit and say hello to everyone? She says, not on your Nelly. I'm hungry, even though I had breakfast an hour ago. And I also opted to do a 1x1 rib on the cuff, just out of preference. I know that I like to be able to fold them, and I really like the way a 1x1 rib looks folded. So that's how I've done it differently, but I used the beautiful stitch pattern and kind of the recommended yarn. And while we've got no more finished objects to share, but I have cast on the second one, and I did hold off because I didn't want to just have 2 finished socks. I don't know why. That's a really weird thing. We're going to work on that. But this is what the yarn looks like in the cake. It's gorgeous. Okay, sorry about that. This is why I love talking to you. I get to reflect and, you know, understand not psychology, maybe a bit of psychology, but also like preferences. So I have noticed that I'm almost always choosing the Chalgu sock needles over the higher ones, which is interesting. So yeah, I'm using 2.25mm Chalgu needles. I'm really enjoying them. And so I can't wait to pick that up, and I feel like I might have to watch the second season of Vox again. Vox Machina on, I think it's unfortunately on Amazon, but I always think that, I keep thinking, as much as it's Amazon, that group, the Critical Role team, deserve that support, and if, you know, they just deserve that creativity and freedom, and it's wicked. The outcome has been amazing. So yeah, that's been really good, but I think I might knit those on a rewatch of season 2. So, in the same vein as the pure mesh, I also bought myself a skein of, it's called BC Garn Jaipur Silk in the colour black, and oh my goodness is it soft. It's like Rex Bunny Rabbit, like baby skin soft for want of a better, it's so soft. And I bought this intentionally, as I did with the Lithuanian linen, to knit myself a summer top. I wanted to replace my Look at My Holes that I did knit in, I'm sure it's the British wool cone, and it was the first one I knitted. I really like it, but again, I want something for the summer that is a bit more, I want it to be drapey, but a bit more structured than the silk version that I knitted myself. The silk I used previously was singles, I believe. I don't think it wasn't as spun as tightly as this. This is a 2-ply. So it's got a little bit more oomph to it. And I wanted to just knit it to pattern. I don't know why. Oh, these were me being very wishful in when we went away. We went to see some friends a couple of weekends ago, and I took the needles to be able to do some ribbing, whether that was on the body or on the sleeves, and we were playing Magic the Gathering, and I think we played Cards Against Humanity, and yeah, we just didn't, I didn't really sit and knit, but yeah, oh, let's pull that through. Yeah, we're getting there on it. I think probably 2/3 of the way of before I break for the sleeves. I really like this pattern and the way it works up. It is by James N. Watts. It's called Look at My Holes. Fine. I don't know what's, I'm wild right now. I think this was designed for sport weight yarn. Maybe it was lace weight. I'm not sure. Either way, this is a lace weight yarn. It is really, really coming out nicely. I think the stitch definition is quite good on it. Not much to say. I am knitting it to pattern. I have knitted this omitting the ribbing a couple of times, and I wear those a lot, but I knew that I wanted a bit more structured version. So I did opt to do the ribbing. It is really, I think it looks a bit more challenging than it is. It is just a raglan, raglan with a lace chart, really. Yeah, there isn't shaping for the back and front, it is just straight, but I haven't found that to be an issue. You could quite easily add some short rows, I reckon, but it looks like most knitters that have knitted it haven't seemed to insert them, so it doesn't seem to be a fit issue. I am knitting the smallest size for reference, because I know that it can help. I am barely short, not really short now. I don't know, I'm like 5'4". I think exactly 5'4", and I can't remember my waist, but I'm like 31.5, 31 on top. And I found that the smallest and second size of the two sizes that I go between, I am doing the first size for this one, I'm sure. again, because it's going to be quite drapey, I thought just bring it in a little bit. And I'm using 5.5mm, which is the recommended needle size. I really like this pattern. I will, if not knitting, I don't feel like now I need, in either of these, the Look at My Holes and the Pure Mesh Pullover, I won't need any more of these. It might be fun to knit more for gifts. And I think that's part of the reason that I have slowed down my knitting too, is because I'm still not experiencing that I need anything extra in my wardrobe. Maybe a couple of cardigans, that black cardigan that I insist on wearing even though it's really, really starting to look like it is just a mess. I feel like I should really replace that, but otherwise pretty good. Which leads me on to this one, and this is a fun project, and I cast it on because, well, I've been thinking about the yarn that I got sent in my advent calendar swap, which was a really fun thing we did this year, where we sent odd like minis to friends or podcasters that we'd never met, which was really fun. I was lucky enough to be paired with Brogan, so I sent one to Brogan, and then a lovely Skein of Dreams, Mega, sent them to me. And lots of these are from her, and I'm not going to go through every single one because that would be wild, but I do have my weird gardening basket. And I was thinking about it for ages, and I thought maybe a shawl would be a good use, but I wasn't convinced that a slightly scrappy shawl was a good idea for me. I didn't really need it. So I thought about doing the elf mail, and that is a pattern by Danny Meager. I've knitted 2 of them in the past, and I tell you, it's one of the funnest projects, and I'm not sure particularly why. It's a raglan, it has a beautiful slip stitch detail along the raglan between the increases. I love the texture and the way it looks. My version I actually nearly put on today, and then I thought, no, I'm talking about it, we don't need to, do both. So I have started one, but actually I've got quite far into it. I think again I'm 2/3 of the way down the yoke. I know what you're from. And this is what it is looking like. I know it's on very small needles so you can't see it, so I'll just show. Where's I think that's I'm seeing it on screen and I'm thinking, yeah, actually, I do really want to keep this. So I was thinking that I was gonna rip this out because it maybe isn't gonna be right. But actually, because I don't know, maybe I am a bit of a funny thing when it comes to colours. I will wear colour and spontaneously I'll end up in full colour. But I'm quite choosy, especially with too many colours together. Believe it or not. And I was worried, like I didn't love this pink being in there. But actually, it's not bad. I might continue to knit this and consider it for a gift. I have a lovely friend who is going to base camp for Everest. And she's going to raise money for charity for Crohn's and Colitis UK, which is a super important one to her. She has suffered for way longer than she should have, and in not very good capacity. We won't talk about it in much depth, but it means a lot to her. It's very cool, and I'm thinking that, I don't know, it's maybe not blue enough for her, but I did think maybe it could be a, like, hey, do a jumper to keep you warm when you're there. But maybe this isn't the right one. But I might try and knit something. But I think I'll ask her if she wants something, and if so, what can I provide that's useful? Because it actually might be like a really thin yak base layer might be better to keep warm, but be really lightweight, especially for packing. Anyway, tangent. Yeah, there was a thought where this could be for her, but I don't think it will work. So I'm going to carry on with this, even though I was questioning myself. I am slightly modifying it in that I am using larger needle sizes, and I'm mostly using DK weight yarn. There is a couple of worsted weight yarns in here. I haven't, so far it doesn't seem to be an issue, it just seems fine. So I have ended up knitting the smallest size. Usually on this pattern I knit the second size, and that seems to be for me. There is so much stretch because of the nature of the pattern, which is very nice. And I like that it kind of, the version I kept, one of them I gave away, we did a swap, it kind of hugs the body and sits. Oh, it sits lovely. And so, yeah, so I've been really enjoying knitting this. It's been really fun just picking out a colour. I'm not paying, like I said, I wasn't paying much attention, but I might be a little bit more conscious of how I place the colours, because I really don't like how stark this pink is. But that might just be me, and actually the pink might help bring the colours together, so yes, the project itself is super fun. I'm enjoying just picking out a colour, seeing what happens. So what do we do? Do we carry on? I think we carry on. I think it'd be silly to rip it out, and I have no issue ripping things out. I think we will know this. But this is just a glorified swatch. A swatch with a bit more effort, and swatches should be quite big, and I know that I did a tiny bit to check that I liked the way that having a couple of colours and this black worked. The black I will talk about just because it's here is Scout from Kelburn Wollens in charcoal grey. Audrey, I'm being distracting because I'm cute. Yes, you are. I really like this yarn. I haven't worn the jumper that I knitted in it loads. Does seem a little bit pilly, but I will give it a gleam and see if it is just like the loose fibres that are just doing the thing. I have to go and get her because this is just so distracting. Say, I'm a naughty kitten. I'm a naughty kitten making noise from the kitchen. Anyway, I'm sure she stays that young because I just call her kitten. She doesn't know that she's grown up or meant to have grown up. Anyway, yeah, so I think I was umming and ahhing about this, and I think I should maybe get to the point for the sleeves. and put it on a larger cable and then see how I feel. I've always been apprehensive about a scrappy project, so I knew this would be something that I might not love, I might want to change. I didn't split slice, but I didn't split slice, spit splice. We got there the yarn, and that was partly because I wasn't sure if I was going to. I was considering it a big swatch. So I do have all these ghastly ends, which I don't mind weaving in. But if I knew that I was going to keep it together, I'd have spliced them. Say that 10 times, Kat. So that I didn't have the ends to weave in, but then I didn't want to, like, I wouldn't have been able to reuse the yarn as nicely if I had. I wouldn't have thought. Be a lot of pulling out and hoping that it didn't felt. So I really am enjoying knitting this project, but it's the wearing, and I don't want to use yarn in items that aren't going to get worn. And I'm looking at it on screen. Thank you. Thank you for being here and hearing this out with me. And I like it. I like the way the colours are, like, look together, and I don't know why it looks so different there. Maybe because it's being held further away and I'm used to holding it quite close. Yeah, I quite like it. Reminds me of something, but I'm not sure what. Let's go a nicer looking way here. So we're going to continue with this for a little bit longer, and we'll do a try on. And if I try it on, I will try and remember to film it so that I don't have to try it on, like, on screen next time. And finally, I will quickly find a ball of this yarn so that I'm not telling you about something that I can't not tell you about. One day I will say things that I mean in the way that I mean to say them. This yarn it's one of the older yarns that I've had. I think I've had it for maybe 3 years. I purchased it at the Knitting and Stitching show at Alexandra Palace. I think it was 3 years ago. Don't think it's more than that. And it's called Lanamania Luxury Natural Yarns Alpura. I should maybe have spoken to someone more than just grunting slightly at Alex this morning before talking to you today. Maybe I should learn to warm up. Nah, it's just fun just sharing the realness, I think. Okay. It is 100% superfine alpaca from Germany. It is undyed. The colour is SFN75, and there is 366 meters for 100 grams, so it's proper fingering, maybe slightly heavier fingering, but I think it's proper fingering. It's just, alpaca is a heavy fibre. It is so soft and so gorgeous, and I have put this into 2 or 3 different garments already. I've started knitting it and kind of gone, I think it might be too drapey. For me, personally, like, I'm just a bit fickle. There's just certain things. Like, part of me was like, maybe I should knit a toque with it. The Ultimate Lazy Cardigan by Albiona McLaughlin, which is a cardigan that I knitted before, but again, the Lopi that I used for that version, the way it sits is really nice and it has a bit more structure. So it wasn't going to be right. And so I kept, starting to knit with it and putting it away and ripping it out and then putting it away again. And on Thursday, Mary, who I work with for the project that is Roots and Stitches, mentioned and reminded me that her and two of the other knitters in our D&D campaign were casting on their half and half triangle wraps by Pearl Soho. And she was like, yeah, we're going to start on Sunday and we're finally going to do it, because she was lucky enough to be in Italy with one of our Monica. I don't know why, it always makes me feel weird talking about people in case they don't want to be spoken about. But they were going to start chatting early and cast on together. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Maybe I'd like to be involved. And then I was like, nah. And then I was like, yeah, I would like to know why so many people have been excited about the pattern and why so many people have knitted multiple. Again, I'm not afraid to unpick the yarn and reuse it. So I thought, why not? So I went to my little wool pantry and found this yarn. And I was like, yeah, actually, accessories makes sense. It's going to drape, it's going to hang nicely, it's not going to cause any itching because it's so dang soft. And it's quite a dark colour and I have quite a bit of it. So I have not decided on colours for the second half. That's how triangles work. But I'm going to do the first triangle, which, if you haven't seen the half and half, it's just in the way, I need to get it cut. Maybe I'll just cut it myself again. I haven't had a proper haircut in like 5 years. It's super simple. The pattern itself is super simple. It's a free pattern and it is just a square, and then half of it is one colour or stripes depending on the striped version or the normal version, and then the other half is striped or in a different colour, again depending on the version. And I cast on and it has been super satisfying and easy. It hasn't required any thinking at all. It is just built upon short rows. I have altered it to be German short rows. It's just my method of choice. I'm comfortable with it. I don't have to think. And that's as far as I've got. It is on actually the recommended needle size and the recommended cable length. So it's quite difficult to see. But that's it so far. I'm finding this yarn really nice to work with. It is ridiculously soft. I'm enjoying the meditative kind of not having to think actually approach for this. Like I said, I haven't been knitting for extended periods of time, and if I have, or if I want to, I will knit on something more like this that has a little bit more interest and a little bit more thinking involved. But if I am sat having, conversation, playing Magic the Gathering with Alex, or, watching something where I want to pay attention, i.e. Vox Machina Season 2 at the moment, this has been perfect because I don't need to look and I don't need to think about anything. I just feel when I get to the short row, I feel like you can really feel it, especially if you're aware that you're going to get to it. And I don't need to look when I'm changing on the ends either. But yeah, the part of me was like, maybe this will be a gift for a mum to be. But I think I am going to make sure that this version is for me and potentially knit another one for the mum to be, because I think she's more into lighter colours than this, and I have been thinking that I might want to use some of my hand spun for the other side. And whilst the hand spun's beautiful and it would make a lovely gift, I don't think a new mum would appreciate being given something that requires so much care, So, I mean, maybe I like the idea of giving something for mum rather than the baby, because the baby can have something hand knit and cute, but sometimes you gotta give the parents a little bit more love and a bit of a boost too, because sometimes I feel like sometimes they just get forgotten about a little bit because we're all excited about the new tiny little one. Just a bit. Maybe it's just me and my weird brain. Anyway, that is where we're at knitting wise. We're enjoying it. We're loving the processes. We're thinking. We aren't knitting new things at the moment particularly, but we will be soon. I'm really hoping to get back to my Mighty 9 sock collection because they are fun, but the things like the pure mesh pullover and the look at my holes are two items that I really knew I wanted to knit, and they will go into my wardrobe and they'll be like the pure mesh pullover has been. They'll be used immediately. They're just items that I know will be basics. The socks, there's no rush. They'll be finished pretty soon though. The half and half wrap will just sit there. I'm not gonna rush through that at all. And the elf mail's just been really nice to get the brain going colour wise. So I think we're almost ready to pick up the Mighty 9 sock project again, which I'm quite excited about. But yeah, anyway, I hope you're doing well. I know I said it at the beginning, but I do mean it. I hope that you do find some joy if you're making, if you're needing a little bit of confidence to try a new skill, maybe you want to try knitting, do it. If you need a confidence boost and then someone to tell you to try something new, try something new. Audrey. I've just taken Fibre off of Audrey. That is Fibre for a project that I am working on, and she is just staring deep into my soul. And is also giving me that I'm gonna go get it again, look. So I'm gonna sit here like this and say thank you so much if you're still here. I know that the new format's been strange. Some people won't love it. Some people have expressed real joy and interest from it, so thank you. One of the interesting things that I've experienced from the change of project and video style has been that a lot more people are reaching out to me directly, which is an interesting thing. I don't know if people feel slightly more, or like you feel more connected to it, but there's been more directed directly to me than on the videos, which is just an interesting insight. I have a few projects coming up that I'm really excited about. And yeah, the new way of working has brought me a lot of joy. There's a lot more freedom, and I try consistently, and I think that's part of my kind of yoga practice is, trying to find balance and not let things that really shouldn't be pressure become pressure, like the pressure to knit, because otherwise you've got no content. But the way of filming now has alleviated that even more, and I feel more conscious about being like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And it's kind of letting me think about more creative things too, because it doesn't have to just be knitting, which isn't inherently a bad thing. I don't think if knitting is your craft, it's your craft, but before I found knitting, and it really saved me in many, 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 many ways, but I always did lots of different things, whether it was making deodorant or I'm trying to, oh my god, there's so many, or, baking bread, or drawing. I don't draw that much anymore, and my skills have very much fallen, and I would love to do some more drawing, so that's something that I would like to work on this year too. But I was always doing lots of different things, and after so long doing mostly one thing, maybe a bit of spinning and a bit of needle punching and a little bit of other bits, but it's really nice to explore different textile crafts and different crafts in general, so I'm quite looking forward to seeing more this year. So I've gone on about it, but thank you for for putting up with that, and if you're still here throughout the changes, I do really appreciate it, because I know it is, you know, can be polarizing. Anyway, I hope that, like I said, your projects are bringing you joy. If you haven't started a project and you want a little bit of a confidence boost, you got this. You can. You really can. Try it. With knitting, the worst that can happen is you have to rip it out. It's fine. You've got the yarn to use again. Other projects, I don't know what you might choose, but learning's just the best, and failing is part of that. And I don't think it's failing if you're able to take something from it. Anyway, I'm going to keep waffling today, so I will love you and leave you. Please look after yourselves. Send big hugs, big kisses to your loved ones. Don't forget to love each other, and I hope to see you again very, very soon.